or even a host of a live video and struggle to get your points in, sometimes you will get a very enthusiastic guest and you just can't get a word in edgewise. What do you do? Well, I've got a few ideas to share with you to help you out if ever you are in that situation. And if you're doing this, sooner or later, it's going to come up and you'll be glad to have these things in your toolkit. Number one, I always like to say, be prepared. I think I learned that in Girl Guides or something years ago. But I always like to do an advance interview with my guests on my show so I get a sense of who they are, what their energy level is. And you can tell from that whether or not you're going to have a little trouble getting your points across and getting your time on air. Most people are pretty considerate, but some people are very enthusiastic and you need to be prepared to deal with them. So do a little bit of homework first, and if you can't talk to the person directly, you can check out some of their prior interviews, and that will give you a very good chance to get a feel for how they're going to be, if they're going to be challenging. And you could experience this as either a host or a guest. So here are some really good tips besides your homework. Number one, I call this one the polite interrupt. And this is where you don't just jump in, but you just very politely, you ask, can I interrupt for a moment? Excuse me. Oh, just a moment. I just like to add something here. So it's very polite. You still have to find that point where you can jump in and do it, because you may have to catch them on a breath. You're going to have to be attentive, but do it politely. May I interrupt? Just ask for permission and have a few of those phrases ready, and those work quite well. Number two, technically, might be number three, the apologetic interview. Oh, which is like, I'm really sorry to interrupt, or sorry for this, but I just like to jump in. That kind of apologizing that you're doing it, but yet jumping in and getting your moment and your point in. So those are two great ways that work, and they're still considerate of the other person. You're not actually making them look bad or feel bad. You're giving them a chance to pick up on your cues even. That might just click in there and say, I have been a little over talkative. Maybe this other person has something to say. So we've got the polite interview, the polite interrupt, the apologetic interrupt, and the relevant point interrupt. So that would be, hey, while we're on this topic, I just want to say, or while we're talking about this, there's a point I want to add, or this is something really important when this topic comes up, and I just want to jump in here. That type of thing. So it's a relevant point you're going to make, and it has meaning, and it just flows into the conversation. But I will say again that you're still going to have to look closely at the other person and figure out those points, because you still can't do that when they're in the middle of a word. So you got to try to find those natural points where they'll take a breath, or they'll stop for a moment to think. And then you could just go, wow, while we're talking about this, I've often had the thought that, and then you jump in. It's a matter of skill and practice, but sometimes you don't get that time to practice it. You may just end up in the middle of it. And then finally, this is for all of us, be a nice guest or be a nice host, and be aware of who you have on your show. They are there for a reason. They want to share information, and you have to have conversation and let them do that. So those are always great ways you can handle those tricky situations when you have what I call a run-on guest. Hey, or you can do these yourself, by yourself. You can run on forever, and then people can just switch off the video. I hope you enjoyed this. If you liked it, please like and share on Facebook. And if you're on YouTube, subscribe. I'm going to continue to have ideas here for you to improve your video presence online. Thanks so much. Have a great day.